let's start with telling us a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about myself. Well, I live in Ojai, California, which is where we are right now, which is north of LA, by the way, tiny little town. And I used to be an actor, Broadway actor, and also a singer. So I've been a performing artist most of my life until about 6.5 years ago when I started marketing anti-aging products for the skin and the body and the brain. A little bit of a switcheroo there. And I'm a spiritual seeker, avid spiritual seeker. I'm passionate about supporting my spiritual path and my own evolution, and more about that anon, I'm sure.
So have you always been a spiritual seeker, would you say?
Yes.
Okay.
Since I was a baby. As a matter of fact, I was born in Fort Worth, Texas, and I used to lie in bed at nap time as a baby. I remember this. And I used to think, I'm in the wrong place. These are not my people. This is not my tribe. I need to get out of here. But I was a baby and I couldn't go anywhere without my parents' help. So my parents got divorced when I was 12, and I got to go to Washington, D.C. with my mother, who went to work on Capitol Hill. And that was a much better fit for me. And my life as an artist started to take off then. I went to a ballet academy for high school, and then I went on to study at Juilliard in New York for acting. At a really young age, I was 17. So I always knew that that's what I wanted to do, but around the same time, around 17, when I moved to New York, I met my Buddhist teacher, Tibetan Buddhist teacher, Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche.
Had you been seeking one out?
I had been avidly seeking an authentic spiritual path for as long as I can remember. And I would go to church with whoever would take me with them, because my parents didn't really go to church. And I would look around the room and I'd be like, nobody's really, as far as I can tell, they're not singing their hymns like from their heart. It bugged me that everything was just sort of going through the motions. So I was like, where's the thing? And I tried on. I would go everywhere. Carlos Castaneda books started to open it up for me. They were really big at that time. And I started to understand that there were different ways of looking at quote-unquote reality. And I thought, okay, this is getting a little closer, but there was no Don Juan in my neighborhood. So I needed to find out what the root of that was. And when I met my Buddhist teacher through a series of synchronicities when I was still a student at Juilliard, it really made sense to me. It really, it kept making sense to me. I didn't intend to become a Tibetan Buddhist or follow that path, but it opened something, it cracked something open, and I knew I had a lot of karmic ties with that particular lineage. So I was very, very fortunate to meet some very high-level lamas at a young age, and I still practice Tibetan Buddhism to this day.
To this day.
Yeah.
So tell us about your journey in the last couple years and how it has changed and what has changed.
Well, in the last few years, I met Joe Dispenza's work, and that's been a big deal for me because I honestly can't remember how I heard of Joe Dispenza. I think I bumped into it on YouTube. Pretty sure that it was just a seemingly random coincidence. Everything is, by the way. But this was something that I thought, oh, I need to check this out. And I did, and I ended up going to a seminar, which led to going to 10 seminars in the last couple of years. So once again, as an avid spiritual seeker, when I find something that really makes sense to me and opens doors in my mind, I'm very interested in going as far as I can, as quickly as I can. so that's what I've been doing. It's been a real what's the right word? It's expanded what I already have understood from different modalities. Besides Tibetan Buddhism, I've done Kundalini Yoga, I've done plant medicine more recently. I actually met plant medicine, ayahuasca, after I had started doing the work with Joe Dispenza. I've done a lot of different modalities. There hasn't been just one. And
I think it's a mixture of all of them. Do you think one in particular helps you more? Do you kind of go through all of them?
That's so interesting, because I ask myself that question all the time, is like, why am I looking in so many different places? And the answer for me is that all of these things came to me. I didn't look for any of it. Honestly, it's like shamans show up in my life. Not just one, but like there was a shaman from Ecuador who was very influential for me, who showed up in my life. A shaman from Africa showed up in my life. More recently, a shaman showed up in my driveway. I told them this story. What's he doing here? He's become a good friend in a really short period of time. So I think when you're open and you're really like
Eager to learn?
eager, hungry, teach me. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And that's what's been happening to me. It's almost an embarrassment of riches. And I'm glad that I wasn't so narrow-minded, that I didn't look to the right or to the left, that I said, oh, I'm a Tibetan Buddhist, and that's all I'm going to do is Tibetan Buddhism. Because people do that. They hang their hat on a particular modality, and that's all they do. And maybe that's right for them. That's cool. But when something starts to answer your questions, but in a slightly different language, you can hear it a little differently with your heart. And it's so intuitive. Everybody's path is different. You know, everybody's path, you have to tell yourself the truth. So I'm kind of diverging here, but there hasn't been one thing. I think always when you're associated with a very, very strong tradition like Tibetan Buddhism, with a really powerful teacher such as Chogyam Trungpa, who is also known as the crazy wisdom guru, he's always there, even though he's been dead for 30 years. He's always in my heart, and I always think of him, you know. But all these other amazing teachers who are filling my life offer their piece for me. I actually didn't have any expectations about any of this stuff, ever.
And don't you agree that's kind of when it unfolds the most?
I think it's what allows somebody to really transform, is you don't have an idea of how it's going to happen or what you're going to transform into. But intention seems to be such a big part of it, at least for me, that I always intend to tell myself the truth, and I always intend to go further into the uncovering of the empowered, enlightened essence of myself. I want to dissolve into that empowerment, because the world really needs it, as far as I can tell. It's required. I've never been interested in most of the things that other people are interested in. I love the performing arts. I love all art, because I think art speaks the unspeakable. The experience of being alive and being in a body is so outrageous and so unspeakable that you can't communicate it literally, but all we want to do is communicate with each other. All we want to do is say, I am feeling this, I think this, I've witnessed this. We want to share. So art allows us to do that. It has to be red and blue and green. It has to be that musical etude or that ballet done just like that. That's the expression of this profundity of this experience. I am a big advocate for art of all kinds. And I think everybody should make art whenever they can, all the time.
Such a great expression.
It's the only
Yeah.
expression.
Yeah.
The literal expression falls flat all the time. Science is a language too, and it's a very literal language because science and spirituality are coming together. And bravo, Joe Dispenza, for being at the front of that. You know, he's a penultimate scientist, and he's a master yogi. Put it together.
So what do you think with his work, what different kind of aspect did it add to the Tibetan Buddhism that you had been practicing?
You know, it was really experiential for me. I started doing the meditations, the space, around the space, around the space, and I just let myself have the experience. I was very interested in finding modality that I could share with others that wasn't as complicated and esoteric as Tibetan Buddhism. But I really was interested in finding other modalities that would have a simplicity to them, an experiential simplicity. It's something anybody could do, whether they meditated before or not. I've been meditating a lot since I was 17, so I was coming at Dr. Joe's work from probably a very different viewpoint than say other people. But I wasn't looking to replace it. I was looking for a modality that maybe I could share with other people that would give them an experience of letting go of their conceptual tendencies and bringing an awareness to where they're putting their awareness that could really transform them. And when it started to make sense, again, when something just keeps making sense, keep doing it. And if it stops making sense, stop doing it. So that's what I did. I just kept kind of looking further into it. And I started to have very rich experiences myself.
So can you share with us, I know we talked a little bit about, but kind of what some of those experiences that you've been having lately?
Well, lately, wow. It seems to be exponential. Like once you touch on heart opening and really dissolving into love, you want to do it again and again and again. And as Dr. Joe, I've heard him say, you know, is there more? And as soon as you ask, is there more? You're on the ride again. It's been a pretty out there little journey for me. It's been very escalated. All I can figure is that this work has it compounds on itself. So it's mostly in the middle of the night. Hello there. You know, I wake up, I'm in that state between waking and sleeping, the sweet spot, and I feel a tremendous amount of love that it kidnaps me is the right word. I get kidnapped by love, and it goes. It's very physical. It's extremely emotional. Sometimes I cry because it's so profound, and it keeps getting more. And sometimes there's wash of fear. We were talking about this earlier, that the fear seems to be the flip side of the love. My tactic with that, when the fear comes, is to hold space for it and to not be afraid of the fear. Because it almost sounds like the voice of doubt that goes, oh, you know what? This isn't real. You know, I don't know, you might be going nuts, you know. And I just let it talk. I don't argue with it, and I don't fight it. And the next day I always feel, I was telling you, I always feel lighter. I always feel a little more empowered, but I also feel a little more humbled. That seems to be a big part of this whole journey for me, is staying humble and not, I haven't actually written down any of the extraordinarily cool things that have happened to me. Not really, because I don't want my ego to get its fingernail in there. Oh, you're going to be a best-selling author. I don't want any of that in my process here. I'm being initiated, and I know it. And I am sure that it's because my intention is to be initiated into greatness, my own greatness. I think all of us have unlimited
And
potential.
can you expand maybe on when, for people who are watching this who go through the same thing, those waves of fear, do those also come in your waking hours? Do those come in the middle of the night only?
No.
And how would you tell somebody to stay aware enough to not take it on and let it take over them? Like you said, you just kind of let it pass through.
I think it's, and I'm learning about this, is trust. Trust that actually the universe is made out of love, and that everything that's happening is part of the process of evolution. And if you're intent on your own personal evolution, if you could say it that way, what's coming is going, as they say at Rhythmia Healing Center in Costa Rica. What's coming is going. So it might be really hard, but if you don't get personally involved in that as a drama or as some kind of indication that you're on the wrong track, or there's proof that I'm crazy. That's my biggest fear, actually, is that I'm crazy. I have mental illness in my family, and so, that's my Achilles heel, and it knows it. My ego is going, because your natural human instinct is to keep you safe. And your natural human instinct perceives sameness as safety. So as long as you can stay all comfy cozy in your familiar world, you're good. And you know who you are, with quotes around it. So we're disrupting all of that. And it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be pretty, and it's not just going to be sunshine and puppies. It is not. I can tell you that for a fact, whether I'm actually crazy or not. There's going to be a lot of initiation, and some of that is going to be very, very tough stuff, and I don't know what else to do at this point. You can't pretend like you don't know what you know. You can't pretend like you haven't heard what you've heard. If you're surrounding yourself with amazing people and amazing teachers and modalities that are uncovering are cracking open your heart, then you're probably on the right track, but to stay the course and to just be your own Joan of Arc, just to grab it and go, you know what? This is hard, but it's worth it. It's worth it. Yeah. Then you're really investing in yourself, I think, and that's the way you get where you want to go, I think.
Right. So one thing that fascinates me about you is your determination to continue down this path where you don't have cancer or some life-threatening illness or abusive relationship or drug addict or whatever it may be. You continue to stay on this path, even like you said, through those times of when it's not pretty. What do you think that is in you that continues to drive you? So, right. And I ask you that so people don't need to get to the cancer
They don't need to get to the cancer. Mm-hmm. When I boil everything down, like, what's my purpose in life, and why have I always had this inquisition going on and this determination to elevate my own awareness? I want to attain enlightenment. I'll just say it right here, right now, so that I'm free from the bonds of habitual mind, that I really am free, that I'm a master of mindset, that is the essence of that is so that I can be as much benefit as possible to as many beings as possible. Otherwise, there's no point. And ego just wants to just take care of number one and keep it separate. Whereas bodhisattva vow is everything one does is for the benefit of all beings. And that's a totally different life from the first one on plan A and plan B. I think it's up to all of us. I think it's up to each individual person to just decide that you're going to be the hero in your own story. And that's exciting. Even if I get kicked around, if I fall down, if I make mistakes or mess up royally or become arrogant or whatever, I know that I can course correct and get back up on the horse. Ooh, mixed metaphors, sorry. Ooh, I'm the queen of mixed metaphors. But I know that if I really am intentional and I remember the end game, because at the end, it's the same thing that was there when I was a little baby. It's like I have such a strong desire to help other people and all even the little bugs and everything.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I relate to that so much. So share with us a little bit if you can. You mentioned the plant medicine and how that's most recently kind of opened you up even more. So for people who are watching this who have no idea what that is, maybe just give a brief synopsis.
It's ancient medicine from, thousands and thousands of years old. Ayahuasca is the plant medicine that I've taken, in particular a medicine called yahe. And I went down to Rhythmia Healing Center in Costa Rica the first time I did it, and then I did it in California with a master shaman named Taito Juanito. They're making a documentary about him. He's a pretty cool guy. He's wonderful. It's deep. It's deep stuff. I was telling Em that my experience with it was the spirit of the medicine is very much a master teacher that will tailor make your journey to what is your intention and how strongly do you want that? What are you willing to do to get that? Whether it's healing something in yourself or overcoming some kind of trauma or healing a disease maybe, or healing a relationship or your relationship with money, or it took me so far, so fast, because I had to really do some seriously, like, it's so hard to explain, but I was annihilated, or more aptly put, my ego was annihilated. And on the last night, I was actually shown, quite literally, you cannot make this stuff up. I never could have come up with this myself, how there's no such thing as time. And it was like time folded like origami. My life became squished into that moment. There was nothing happening. It was like my past, even the valuable stuff, even the stuff that I cherish, the memories and the teachers and everything, had never happened. And I was shown that it was conjecture, that it was fabricated. It was like poof, I was dropped right smack into now. That I was like pretty freaked out. What do you mean that none of that was real? But I saw that I could choose which dream I wanted to live. In that moment, I had a choice, and it wasn't even my dream. It was love's dream that was dreaming itself to know itself. So everything that ever happened, the bird on the branch, the phone on the table, the bank robber and the person they're shooting, everything that ever happened, a combination of this and that, was so that love could experience itself in a myriad of ways, forever, to eternity. And that I was part of that dream. And that I could choose which experience I wanted to manifest. And it was a huge weight lifted off, but it also gave me a huge sense of responsibility that I'm responsible for where I place my attention at all times and what I'm choosing to experience in this lifetime or in future lifetimes. That I was absolutely the, what do they say, the captain of your ship, the master of your soul, or whatever it is, and that none of it was real, and that I could make $1 million, or I could be a bum on the street, or I could help save the rainforest, or whatever it was. And it didn't even matter what I did, it mattered how I did it. It wasn't what I did, it's how I did it. Is how do you show up for your life? Whether you're walking across the street, or whether you're cooking eggs, or whatever it is, how do you do it? How do you show up for your life? It was such a new paradigm that was just, I was just plopped into it. And since then, life has been a lot lighter, a lot more adventurous, a lot more authentic and stripped away. And every day I feel like I get lighter because I'm more willing to let go.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like you were able to let go of a lot. And so now you can experience moment to moment on such a more profound level.
Yeah. Either way, doing all of this and going back to Dr. Joe's seminar has made Dr. Joe's work tenfold more powerful, more profound for me. And the coherence healing, that is so deep and so powerful and is going to friggin' change the world. I had no idea that I had healing ability. Really had no idea. But now I know that I do, and that it's up to me how far I want to cultivate it. But I'm sure everyone in the room has healing ability. Everyone in the world has healing ability. They just don't know. Maybe
Aren't aware
some
of
of
it.
them. So, and how simple it is too. Oh my gosh, open your heart. That's it. That's it. So good. So I'm practicing that sometimes in the middle of the night too. I'm a busy girl. That I'll just like think of somebody and send them healing love, and couldn't hurt, for heaven's sakes.
Right.
It's my way of practicing.
Yeah. So what is one piece of advice you would give to somebody starting down this path that may have those fears of, I may be going crazy, is this the right path? I don't know if I should trust it. What is one thing that you could give to them to help them on their journey?
You know the truth. If you actually stop in the middle of whatever it is that life is seemingly throwing at you, which by the way is only your projection anyway, just stop and tell yourself the truth. Just stop and tell yourself the truth. Because you know who you are. You know. You may not know that you know, but if you stop, I think too many times we're looking outside ourselves to, I don't know, get answers or ideas of what to do. You know what to do. These modalities are tools. You know what to do. You know who you are. You know what you want. And you need to be brave enough to champion your own greatness, because nobody is going to do it for you. That's your job. That's my job to do it for myself, you know? And why not? Have fun too. It's beautiful. And you feel good because, you know, at the end of the day, sometimes it's so sweet. I've never loved myself this much before. It's so sweet. I'll go, you're all right.
Yeah, yeah.
You did a good job.
Yeah.
You may not be perfect,
Yeah.
but
You're doing
you
okay.
know, good for you.
So important.
You're doing all right. You know,
So important.
it's so sweet. It makes me happy. It's a very sweet relationship.
It is. So we obviously touched on what love is and what fear is, but in a way that's meaningful to you, what does love over fear mean?
I think that's the $65 million question right there. Because at any moment, any nanosecond, we're either growing outside of our comfort zone, expanding into the unknown, or we're retracting. We're holding back. We're separating from the unknown, you could say, the divine unknown. So it's a moment by moment choice. Are you expanding? Are you growing? Or are you declining? Are you evolving, or are you resisting evolution? It's subtle. And the more I walk on this path of life, the more subtle I realize that it is. It gets subtler and subtler and subtler and subtler. And boy, it's not for the faint of heart. It's not for wimps and wussies. It just isn't. But who's watching this video wants to be a wimp or a wussy? You're already championing your own greatness by hanging out with this tribe and listening to other people's stories and opening your mind that way. So I just say, tell yourself the truth, because you know what side of the bread the butter's on. You know. I know you know.
Awesome. Thank you, Anne, for sharing with us. Is there anything else you would like to say?
I love you. I love you, Em. You're
love you.
amazing. And I hope to see you all soon. I hope I get to know you. Much love.